What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. And today I want to talk about trauma and how to deal with it, manage it, and even conquer it. Right? So, trauma is basically, for those who don't know, trauma is basically, I guess, like a devastating. It's a devastating feeling after a certain event. Right? If someone has a traumatic experience, that means that person has experienced something that has done some kind of harm to them. Trauma. There's different kind of trauma. There's physical trauma. There's mental trauma, emotional trauma. Trauma, is not just it don't just affect just one part of you. It affects all of you, every aspect of you. And trauma can happen for many different reasons. Death in the family, for finances, argument, a physical fight, um, divorce, or you know, children or something. I don't know, just a bunch of things, different things can bring on trauma. And the question usually is, what do you do after the trauma? Because there's different levels of trauma also. There's different levels of trauma. Not all trauma is the same. All right, it's levels to it. And the more severe the trauma, the more powerful the effect it has on your life. Certain things you can feel pain for a brief moment, or it can last for an extremely long time. Sometimes even their person's entire life. And usually when you go through a traumatic experience, you want to know, well, how do I first of all, how do I identify it? Well, what do I do to stop the trauma? Because usually, like, I don't want to feel this experience anymore. So how do I stop it? Or if you can't stop this particular experience, how do I live with it? How do I cope with it? What do I do? What can I do to best deal with this trauma? Right? And there are different things you could do. You know, only speak to myself. Whenever I have a traumatic experience, and happens all the time. The best way I've learned to deal with the effects of it is because I am a creative person. I love arts, music, writing, things of that nature. Those things help me when I deal with traumatic experiences. I don't know what that was, but okay. Those things help me deal with traumatic experiences. Usually, whenever I feel sad about something, angry about something, sorrow, I turn to the arts. I've always been that way. I've always been the kind of person that whatever I felt, whether it be good or bad, I put it into my art. But for some reason, I find that for some reason, whenever I go through a traumatic experience, I find that I go deeper into my art. I'm much more expressive in my art with a pod with kind of a traumatic negative experience and with a positive experience. I guess because you feel it deeper. You feel it deeper. So, and different like this is sometimes you can just talk to people. You can you can just or you can communicate with the actual person depending on what it is. Now, some people unfortunately deal with trauma in a not so productive way. Some people turn to drugs, alcohol, narcotics, stuff like that. Some people physically harm themselves, and I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to judge on that. Just I personally like when someone turns to self harm to cope with the trauma. I understand, it's certain trauma hits you deeper, and you internalize the trauma instead of externalizing it. But it's many people deal with it in different ways. Some constructive, some destructive. You know, we all have our ways of dealing with traumatic experiences, and trauma affects us all. I will hope that I hope and wish that everyone, when you go through a traumatic experience, you find the most constructive way for you at that time that actually helps you in short term and in long term. Because a lot of times when we try to cope with traumatic experiences, we only deal with the short term. I want to feel good now. I don't want to feel this pain right now. I want to get rid of this sense of pain. So we do things to ourselves to numb the pain for now, but we never actually address the problem so we can help solve it in the long run. Because trauma has short-term effects and long-term effects. The short-term effects are the most immediate, they're the most severe. So we deal with it right then and there because it's present right in our face. But the long-term may be slow and subtle, but when you get to the end, you will realize how much damage you've done to yourself. So, it's best to find the most constructive way for you, because everybody's different. So everybody, can solve their problems differently. But it's always best to find the most find the most productive means of healing, both for the short term and the long term. Okay, and if you need like a group or group of friends, some loved ones to help you seek counseling, whether it be therapy, it could be painting, like I do for myself, writing. Sometimes you need to cry, But I will hope that you don't. I hope that if anyone's listening, they don't turn to destructive means that they go to hurt themselves. I hope they don't hurt others, because what you don't want to do, if you don't want to internalize the pain, you also don't want to externalize it and harm others because of your pain. Because if you harm others or you harm yourself, you haven't actually solved the problem. You haven't actually solved what triggered the trauma. So you gotta be careful about that, so you don't do harm to yourself or others. And you can find a way for you. And I'm not the kind of person say, God, forgive and forget. I'm not saying all that. I'm just saying, you have to find what works best for you so you can heal. I mean, heal now and heal in the long run. Find what's best for you so you can live on and live your best life, as they say now. So, trauma could be now and fast and hard and strong, or it could just be slow. But either way, everybody deals with trauma differently. And hopefully, one day we all could find a way to deal with our trauma and move forward and live our best life. Okay? All right. Hope you enjoy this. Peace.